All right, so the 49ers played the Lions over this past football weekend. Tommy, I'm gonna have you start this off since this is your team.
Well, I'll say this. With this one game, I kind of looked at it and I saw something that I don't know if other people saw it, right? It kind of gives Soleil a little bit of a little bit of a longer runway, right? So you look back over the past couple years, or not last year, the year before, even Super Bowl year, and even last year. One of the things that the Niners have just flat out struggled to do was close out games. Like just about every game, whether they won by 1 point or won by 20, it seemed
Or
like
the Super Bowl.
yeah, you just can't close out the game. And so it's like, you got to fix that, right? So here we are where you're up 31 to 10 at some point or 38 to 10 at some point, and you end up in a game where you have to score at the end. And it's one of those where it's like, again, you're not closing out the games. Now, why? Could be, the defense is, a little flat. It could be the offense is, changing the way that they're running. I couldn't say from watching the game like what changed because it didn't exactly look like they went into prevent mode. It just looked like, they were doing something that worked all game, and they were like, well, we got this one wrapped up. Let's try the other experimental stuff, guys. And then, the experimental stuff should have probably stayed, I don't know, experimental and in practice.
Right.
So it's something that if you look at it and you think back to, who the defensive coordinator was and like, okay, this is all him. Well, he's gone. He's gone. But who's still there? Shanahan's still there. So you start to wonder, is this a cultural issue that he brings in of not being able to close this out? Because if memory serves, he has some other familiarity with that issue as well. Uh,
Well, let
but
me just interrupt you real quick. It's interesting that you say that because they were playing really well first quarter, and so it makes me wonder what the hell was said to them during halftime that made them like completely lose touch with whatever they were doing in the first half.
was this whole the whole scheme, the way that they were playing everything is like you just let up off the gas, right? Instead of and playing in the NFL, I think it was I don't remember who said it, but anyways, it's just this idea of every week you're playing against a professional football team. So even if it's the worst team in the NFL, right? The worst team in the NFL is still the 32nd best team on the planet.
You're right. You still have to go to work.
Yeah, you still have to go to work. You still have to bring it. You don't pump the only time you can pump the brakes is when you say, you know what, this is going to about to become a whole lot of run the ball and play action, and that's only if it works. If it doesn't work, then you've got to expand it out because you can't come away with nothing while a team is scoring point after point after point and it's racking up, right? Because when you got a team that's 3-4 score down and now all of a sudden they're within striking range. Now, fortunately, they were able to get the offense out there on the field and then kind of, okay, well, we'll go do our thing. Okay, now we're good. We can move on, right? So it's not that there wasn't success there, but hopefully, this is an area where they can come and look and say, hey, we need to focus on closing these games out. Um, and that's the ups and downs of it, and that's things that grow on through the season. I think it was fun to see Lance's first pass in the NFL or regular season be a touchdown. That was that was kind of cool. But the other question a lot of people asked that we had that conversation of when does Lance replace Jimmy? And based on this game, no time soon, because right now, like they're literally in a spot where it's like Jimmy's playing well, and he was back to playing where he was not last year, but the year before. So he's kind of picking that stride up and continuing with his every other year thing. Maybe they should just sign him to a contract that's like that, right? Sign Jimmy to what is this, 21, an odd year contract. So 22, he's not on the team. 23, he's back on the team, and you work it that way. I don't know, but he played pretty good. He had the one touchdown in there, but no interceptions, and he's able to make some good throws. So it's a fun game to watch. It's always nice to see the Niners come out and play. On the other side of the ball, with the Lions, scary at first, and hopefully, they were able to figure some things out. And obviously, they had more success in the second half, and they continue that success because I know in the first half, man, they were looking at golf like, yeah, you can go ahead and pack it up and just just head on out, homie. But he came back out
So what was said to them during halftime?
yeah, exactly. He played. He played good down the stretch, and it's like all things being equal, it looks like right now, because if we give Niners the lead way that they'll clean up to close out the game thing, then we have to give the Lions the lead way that hey, you guys will pick up on the success that you had, and Goff will be an addition for you because that's a key spot, and he's still a good quarterback. Change the scenery, change the scheme, things work out better. But still a fun game to watch. We lost Raheem Mostert there, and he's done for the year. It's going to be rough, but I don't think it's going to be like it's not going to be huge, right? He's definitely the number one. He's the speedster. Once he gets past that second line, he's gone. If the linebackers are behind him, it's going to be hard to bring him down, hard to catch him, especially if nobody is in front of him. But they've got a committee behind him that worked out well last year. They still had 100 yards, on Sunday. So rushing game will still be good. It's going to be interesting. It'll be a long season to watch. Got to get the secondary fixed up, and you keep backsliding on that one where he just can't get a break. So but they'll continue to grow it there. Be all right. It's absolutely wonderful to see Bosa and Ford back on the field. That was nice because it had been a while. So hopefully defense picks up steam, can close out games. Offense keeps it with the production and keeps folks on their toes. It'll be a good year. Oh, and by the way, just so everybody knows, NFC West, AFC West, nobody lost.
West is the best.
It's those West Side teams.
West Side.
Did anybody in the East win, Sam?
Whatever. So, okay, so as far as the 49ers, they won, it did have me laughing because I seen what a big lead they had in the first half, and when it came to the second half, as I stated, I think Jared Goff is on a revenge tour, and he was definitely going towards that revenge tour, but hey, he came up short. The 49ers, the 49ers look good. The defense look great. Now, I would say, because I'm not a 49er fan, I call them the whiners because at the fourth quarter, they definitely was whining. I could definitely see Samuel Devo just like crying because he fumbled that ball.
You got so much nerve right now, Sam, talking about a losing team.
Yeah, that was one of those moments of like, bruh, that was another moment of this game is over right then and there if he doesn't fumble.
Yeah. But I would say this. The 49ers look good. I think still it showed Jared Goff's heart when it comes to even being blown out, because being blown out in the first half, that can ruin like a quarterback's whole confidence and everything else. And he could have just like packed it up, but he came out, played very strong, got them back in the game, got them back by seven, and had a chance to tie the go into overtime, but came up short. Trey Lance, as I stated, he's with the right coach. If he was with any other coach, I don't think he would have as much success as he's going to have as far as future games. Definitely, I agree with you, Tommy. As far as Shanahan, he has some kind of niche for, hey, let's blow teams out in the first half and let's make it close when it comes to the fourth quarter. Maybe that's just practice. Maybe you guys are just practicing that just so that you guys will pull out that win
if you
or something.
That's literally my preferred practice topic.
But if we rewind this back to the Super Bowl season, right? When because Niners just in reality the Niners weren't relevant last year. But you rewind it to the Super Bowl season, right? Every game was kind of you're on the edge of the seat to see like, okay, how's this going to end, right? So it's like even when they played the Vikings, the most boring playoff game I've ever friggin' watched. The entire time you're like, at any moment, all the Vikings have to do is be like, hey, let's start playing guys for real, and you worry that like, here we go.
You're hanging on by a thread. You're like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. The same thing when they played the Packers the next week, where it's like, yeah, they controlled that game, but that was such a rarity, and I think that's the feeling that even in the good seasons that the Niner fans want to get past, right? Because when you stroll back to the Harbaugh years, yeah, they lost games. Every team's going to lose games, but the not being able to close the game out was kind of the rare side of it. It's more of a team, especially with the defense that they had back then, where it was like, no, once we get on you, we're gonna stay there, and that's just the way it is. Um, but the other thing to remember here too, right? This is what Shanahan's fourth year, is it 4 years?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
he's only had one successful year in there, or one, as far as stats, win loss, and all that. One of those years was fantastic, right? Um, and so there is a certain culture around knowing how to win. And teams that kind of have gotten into that funk and have forgotten how to win are more likely to fall into the trap of, yeah, we were up 38 to 10, 31-10, and then we won by 7 points, right? You fall into that trap, and especially when the idea of how it happens, right? When you get big plays in the first half and that builds up your score, right? They're big plays. The other team made mistakes. So what happens when they stop making mistakes? Your ability to score like that starts diminishing. So when you get up, you got to capitalize on the mistakes. And part of capitalizing on the mistake that the other team is right now, part of that happens an hour later, right? And getting that continuity in there is something that Shanahan's going to have to work on getting that. And I think just about every Niner fan in the world, it's like, we would like to see more of that, just closing games out rather than,
Mhm.
it be like, I get it, it's exciting. And maybe that's it. This is all a grand scheme to get more money for commercials. Maybe, I don't know. Weirder things have happened, but kind of getting the feeling that they don't know how to close out games. That's my take on it right now is Niners look good. It's going to be a good season. They don't know how to close out games. And in a couple weeks when they play Seattle, that's really going to not be a good thing to not know how to do.
Well, see, this is the thing with me. And as I stated, the 49ers look good and everything, but the reason why I call the 49ers the 40 whiners is because you guys whine all the time about your quarterback, about Jimmy. And the fact of it is, if you look at statistic wise, Jimmy, every time he is on the field, he has had a quarterback rating over 90. So he has been good on the field. I do not see the reason why the 49er gang or whiners or whatever you guys want to call yourselves are upset with Jimmy about how his play. He has always played good. Now, when he's injured, yes, he's injured. It happens. It happens in the game. Everything accepted what it is. But he has always played good. So as far as them having Trey Lance and back, yes, they invested in their future. He's going to be a good player, and sometimes they can bring him in to be able to do whatever kind of play that they design for him because they feel it's going to be effective for that game. But Jimmy has always been good. And the second thing is, I'm just, you guys should be glad that, um, your team when they did the offside kick that they actually went for the ball. They didn't. At least they weren't like Atlanta and just watched the ball spin around and nobody was going to get. Didn't know they could be able to touch the football. But hey, you know what? Atlanta mistake was a Cowboy win. But whatever. But at least your team wasn't that stupid. Just watching the ball like, okay. Okay, I don't know if I can touch it. I don't know if I can touch it. Well, if the defender's going for it, I guess I can touch it now.
You got a lot of words coming out of your mouth that are negative to convey this message that you're trying to convey, which is y'all ain't that bad. So let me just summarize and just say thank you, Sam, even though you tried to, fancy that up by saying 40 winners 47 times. I appreciate the
When
sentiment.
it comes to the whiner thing, though, I just want to point out that, yeah, the Niners are just basically saying we need to figure out how to close out games. They ain't saying that, that should have been offensive PI and that's why we lost and all that. Wait, it's just, hey, we need to
Ew.
close that game out.
I was about to bring that
I
up.
did say our kicker. First of all, I did say our kicker missed a couple of field goals. That was it too. But
Hey,
I did.
hey, we
That
just
was
couldn't
part of
close
it.
the game out. We
Hey,
failed to close it out and we managed to win.
we sure did. We sure
Okay,
did. But
well,
hey,
before we get
like
too
Dak
far off
said, we'll
track,
see you in the playoffs.
before we get too far off track, Sam, because you mentioned the revenge tour, so I wanted to see if you guys wanted to talk about that. Do we revisit the Stafford Goff trade? Was that a good decision? Like, how do you think he's performing at this point?
Initially, I wanted to because I
Go
thought
ahead, John.
right now in this week one, I really think that both the teams come out positive on this. But I would rather either. I mean, we could talk about it. I'd rather hold off and talk about it, in a couple weeks, or talk about it again in a couple weeks because as it is today, they both actually looked good. It looked like both the teams were going. This was a win-win, which is always fantastic for the fans, for the teams, for everybody. But still, this many games, and so it's kind of like the body of work
Impressions being what
is.
they are, though, that we might be in for a kind of a good season all around then.
Yeah, well, so here's, glasses half full, right? Nobody can say that somebody's on the losing end of that trade.
Right, at least not today.
Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
All right, let's take a
Yeah.
quick break.
Yeah.
We'll come back, and we got a couple other topics to talk about. But before we head off to break, just a reminder: hit the like and subscribe button. Also, feel free to comment and let us know what you want us to talk about in future shows. We're definitely willing to jump in there and have some interaction in this discussion. So, be right back.